But even once you've received treatment for, say, depression, many people experience what are called residual depressive symptoms, lingering issues with sleep, concentration and mood. Often they don't feel justified in seeing a doctor or a psychologist again, but these symptoms do have a measurable effect on everyday life. Canadian researchers have trialled an online therapy program to address this issue with some promising early results. The lead researcher was Zindo Siegel, Professor of Psychology at the University of Toronto, and I spoke to him earlier.
The most common symptoms that linger following a response to treatment are problems with sleep and fatigue, and some problems with concentration. In this case, people have had a close to robust response to treatment. It's just that there are these lingering symptoms that haven't been completely eradicated, and they continue to present a burden for people living with them, returning to work, and wanting to get on in much more productive ways in their lives.
Now, this trial was of online, what you call mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. We'll come to that in a moment. And it was versus usual depression care. But isn't usual depression care, doesn't that usually involve drugs and psychotherapy and cognitive behavioral therapy already?
Yeah, this was a fairly well thought through pathway. It was offered to members inside an HMO. The Kaiser Permanente HMOs in the United States cover a lot of people. If you're a member and you have depression, there's a plan for you that gets enacted. The first line of treatment is usually an antidepressant. And if you still need to see what they call a behavioral health specialist, they'll set that up for you as well. So the usual care was substantial, I would say. And for these folks, however, there are still a number of residual symptoms that hadn't been fully addressed.
And just describe this mindfulness cognitive therapy rather than standard cognitive behavioral therapy.
Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy is a version of cognitive therapy that adds training in mindfulness meditation and is oriented towards people who have come through their depression but still face an increased risk for relapse, the return of symptoms, and even the return of a full episode of depression. And so it's much more of a prevention-oriented treatment with skills embedded in it that allow people to practice on an ongoing basis even once treatment has ended.
And so just tell us what happens during it. I mean, are you teaching mindfulness meditation? What is it you're teaching?
Inside mindfulness meditation is the capacity for people to learn how to watch their thoughts and emotions and sensations in the body in a way that gives them a little bit of distance on them. And this is very helpful in regulating emotions, especially the states of mind like rumination, self-judgment, and criticism that often are symptoms of depression that haven't fully resolved. The training in mindfulness meditation gives people resources to manage their emotions much more effectively. And then that's married to ways of recognizing warning signs of depression returning in your life, helping you take action in a much more proactive way. So we're starting with people who are already feeling a little bit better, that may have a few symptoms, but teaching them ways of looking after themselves that they can continue to practice. And that seems to have a very positive effect on reducing these residual symptoms even further.
And how many sessions online over what sort of period of time?
It's an 8-week program, 8 sessions once a week. People log on to their computers, so it's a browser-based program. It's not an app on your phone, but you sit in front of your computer and you go through these sessions much as you would if you were attending a group in person. The advantage here, of course, is that you can do this at any time of the day. You don't have to travel, and you don't have to deal with waiting lists or shortage of therapists to provide you with the treatment.
And some critics of standard therapy would say that it's more accurate therapy because you haven't got a psychologist in the way changing the way they do things just because they think it might be better.
There is a way in which you do get high fidelity treatment time and again because you're getting access to the same content.
So what were the results?
Initially, we selected people who had residual depressive symptoms. So we had a range of a score of 5 to 9 on a depression measure. Below 5, people are considered to be in a range of having recovered. 10 and above, people are considered to be in a range where they're still depressed. So we took the people that were really in the middle, and we looked at the extent to which this treatment compared to usual care dropped them below that threshold of 5. And we had a significantly larger percentage of patients who received usual care plus this online therapy who dropped below a threshold of 5 on the PHQ-9 and also had lower rates of relapse over 1-year follow-up. And these results were maintained over a one-year follow-up.
And did people need a top-up? In other words, go back to the therapy?
No, that's the thing. The therapy teaches them skills that they can continue to use once they're no longer participating in the actual groups themselves or watching them online.
So the
The whole
benefit...
purpose of it is developing sort of resilience, the resources that they could, in a sense, become their own therapists.
So is this ready for showtime, or does it need more work before it becomes more generally available?
For me, it is ready for showtime in terms of the evidence base behind it. Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy in person has a very strong evidence base, 10 international studies, 1,500 patients, lots of meta-analyses. What's not fully ready yet is the ability to offer this to people on a public-facing website. Right now, the only people that have had access to this are those that have been in randomized control trials. And so we need to find a way of helping the general public have access to this resource as well.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
Sindel Siegel is a professor of psychology at the University of Toronto. And if you're interested in trying something like that out, the Black Dog Institute has a range of evidence-based tools and apps aimed at addressing anxiety and depression. We'll have details on our website. That's the Health Report's website.